All right, today we're going to be talking about the area, specifically the area of triangles. There are two things you need to know in order to calculate the area of a triangle. You need to first identify what the base and the height are. If you have those two dimensions, you can find the area of a triangle. So let's take a look at some situations. With these two triangles you see here, you can see very often they're going to put in a dashed line, and that dashed line always comes down to the base. So that dashed line is known as our height, and it comes down to our base. Now in this obtuse triangle on the right, you can see something similar happening, except for our height is outside the triangle. However, it's still our height, and it still comes down to our base. So those are the two things that you need to identify in order to calculate area of a triangle. And then, of course, we need to look at a right triangle. On a right triangle, the legs that make up the right angle, those are your height and your base. So once you have those two things identified, you can calculate area. So let's try some examples here. Here's our formula. You take the base times the height, and then you divide it by 2. Now another way to think of that, or write that formula, is 1/2 base times height. That's the same as multiplying the base times the height and then dividing by 2. So if we look at our example here, you can see that there are 3 dimensions given. One of these dimensions isn't going to be used, but that happens very often where they give you more information than you need. But like I said, you need to identify the base and the height. So we can see that we've got this dashed line coming down from the vertex to another side. So we can say that our height is 9 inches, and that's coming down to our base, which is 8 inches. So what you're going to want to do is use the formula. There it is. And then you're going to plug in what you know. We know that our base and height are 8 and 9. We're going to multiply 8 times 9, which is 72. Slice that in half, dividing by 2, and we get our answer. The area is 36 square inches. Remember, we're always trying to figure out how many little squares it takes to cover the figure. That's what area is. So in this case, it's 36 square inches. And that's how you write the label there with the exponent of 2. Let's try some more. You guys can pause this at any time to try these examples. It's always a good thing with videos. But if we look at example 1, you can see that our dashed line this time, our height, is 17 centimeters. And that's coming down to our base, which is 20 centimeters. The 32 centimeters, it's more information than we need to find area. And like I said earlier, you always have to just identify the height and the base in order to find area. So of course I'm going to start with my formula. I'm going to plug in what I know, my base and my height. I'm going to multiply those two values together and then divide it by 2. So the area for example 1 is 170 square centimeters. And you're done, that's it. Now in example 2, you can see that we have a right triangle. So as I mentioned before, when you have a right triangle, the legs that form the right angle, those are your base and your height, and they're actually interchangeable. It doesn't matter where you put them. The height could be the height and the base are interchangeable in that example. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with our formula. We're going to plug in the information that we know. We're going to multiply. We're going to divide by 2, and we're going to get an answer. Okay, it's that simple. Base times height divided by 2. Now the cool thing about knowing our formula here is that you can use it in different ways. For example, if we knew what the area was, but we needed to find either the height or the base, we can use our formula to make that happen. You just have to plug in the things you know in different places. So with this example here, we know that our area is 144 square inches. We know that the base is 16 inches. What we don't know is what the height is, but we're going to use our area formula to find the height. So again, we start with the formula. That's very common. Always start with your formula. We're going to then plug in what we do know. In this case, I know that the area is 144 square inches. I know my base is 16 inches, but I don't know my height, so I'm just going to leave my height as h. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply 16 times h to get 16h, and then I'm dividing by 2. So I've got 144 equals 8h, and then of course you need to isolate your variable, so I'm dividing each side by 8, and when I do that, I find out that the height of that triangle is 18 inches. So we just used the area formula, but not to find area, it was to find a missing length. Okay, in this case it was the height. So using the area formula can be used in different ways, and that's very powerful, and you need to know how to do that. Let's try a couple more examples and then we'll be done. So if we look at this green triangle, you can see it has an area of 391 square feet. We know that the base is 23 feet, and we're looking for that height. So as we did on the last example, we're going to start with our formula. We're going to put in the information that we know. Area is 391, my base is 23. Of course, the formula has us then dividing that side by 2. So that's what I'm going to do. Divide by 2 to get 11.5h equals 391. And then we need to isolate, so of course we're going to divide each side by 11.5. And there you have it. We get our height, which is 34 feet. Go back and watch this video again if you need to. Thanks for watching.